Howdy, folks. Good evening, one and all. And let's see. Our panel is empty today. It's just me. So we're going to make it a relatively quick show unless one of our guests joins in. In the meantime, tonight's CNC show will be well, I'll tell you a little story. I have an RV, travel trailer. Not an RV, travel trailer, for those of you who want to be specific about it. I'm telling you, even with the new pickup, it's I'm looking at 10, maybe 11 on a good day, miles to the gallon. And by the way, good evening all. Frankie, Jeff, Keith, Becca, Mark, Neil, John, Reginald, Dan. Thank you all for coming in. We appreciate, as always. Jim, good to see you. And so the RV, or for those of you in the across the pond, the caravan that I have, the travel trailer, tag along. It's basically a big box, about 10 foot high or so, and it's completely flat on the back. And for those of you that know anything about wind resistance, aerodynamics, I know, I've taken all the basic engineering courses for my engineering, but being that it's electrical engineering, very limited on fluid dynamics, and which relates to aerodynamics. It's all the same thing. So I'm definitely no expert other than what I've read online, and that is take that with a grain of salt. But one thing that I have read, there have been discussions on nose cones for diverting the air from the front, because the front is just slightly at an angle, but it's also relatively flat above the truck, because everything obviously behind the truck is negligible. And then there is the discussion of the back of the truck, the drag that actually pulls the truck back. Do I have a photo? Yes, I can be looking that up of the wonderful travel trailer that I have. So anyway, as I search for this, I'll share that I was looking at a couple of different sites and a lot of RV sites, and most everybody says that having a cone is just a waste of money. And I could see how that is, because most nose cones will cost somewhere in the range of $800, and if you build it yourself, you're talking about forms and anyways, there's also penetrations from the front of all the screw holes that you have to see. It becomes more problematic than anything else for a negligible increase in aerodynamics, whereas airfoils or vortex generators, for those of you that don't know what a vortex generator is, and I'll get to the CNC portion of it in a second, but a vortex generator is there's some brand names like AirTab, and there's other brand names that they have these little tiny, they're all different types. What they do is they break up the straight wind going across the side or the top or any flat surface and create a vortex at the very tail end. So if you combine all the straight wind coming from the back, it'll create a suction and pull the travel trailer, well, actually create drag. That's that much I do know. And a vortex generator, what it does is break up. Obviously, it has to be placed every 4 or 5 inches, whatever the, there is specific formulas and everything for that, which I don't know any of. But you place them every so often, and they break up the air and create a vortex. So it's no longer wanting to curl in and pull the trailer back, it's basically going to dissipate. And let me look for that photo while I'm here, because I can't split my attention in two, so my apologies. But let's see here. I've got quite a number of pictures. I just need to find the right one. And there we go. I've got a few, but they're very unattractive, because I'll share with you the photo of the trailer. Okay, this ugly monstrosity, bear with me. Let me do the screen sharing. This ugly monstrosity is a trailer that I got for a song, and you can see why. It's not in the best of condition. Well, if you saw it now, you would not believe it's the same piece. Now, the back of the trailer, it's 28 foot, including the tongue. The back of the trailer is completely flat. Let me see if I can get an exterior view of the back. Maybe something a little bit in the future. Okay, well, here is the back of the trailer. So as you can see, that is just asking for drag. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got a Steve. I've got a now. Here's the thing, that 10.8 miles to the gallon that I'm getting, that's at 65 miles an hour, and when I go down to 60, I actually pull an extra mile per gallon. But you know, who wants to ride at 60? Or is it? Yeah, I'm getting between 10 and 11, in short. Now, there is one thing that I should mention, and that is recently the tires on my trailer. I realized I made a huge miscalculation, and I bought some new tires on Amazon. The trailer weighs about 7,000 pounds. Let's do the math. Divide by 4, you're looking at 1,750 pounds per tire. A load C-rated tire is 1,500 pounds on average. A load D-rated is like 2,000, and or 1,800. And a load E-rated tire, 10-ply, is 2,200. Again, I'm approximating. I had C-rated tires, and on top of that, on top of being overweight, the trailer for the tires, I hadn't realized when they came in that they weren't supposed to be at 35 pounds. They were supposed to be at 50 pounds. So I've been running for 2 years on underinflated, undersized, underloaded tires. Well, I was down to the treads on the sides, as is what happens. So this probably is a factor in my low mileage. Suffice to say. But I did inflate them and run them. I run them to the proper on the last drive, last 4 or 5 hour drive I had. I did run them at the properly inflated level. Anyways, long story short, I bought new E-rated tires, and let me see if I can find a picture of what the trailer looks like these days, so you can, well, for those of you, take a look at my RV mod videos on my channel. They show numerous mods. They're very entertaining, somewhat funny. I guess. Not as funny as my Hoarding to Boarding series, but they are entertaining. You'll see a lot of different modifications, and you'll see the build from a shell with rotting wood on the inside, and you saw the outside there, to a trailer that's all it's missing is some fancy detailing, some vinyl, and I got to pull out my vinyl cutter for that. But I'm heading to Central Florida, Sean. Just taking a couple days with the wife, the usual vacations here and there, and so I'm preparing the trailer because during the summer we go up and down a lot to different parks throughout Florida, and that airfoil seemed like a fantastic idea. Let me start up my parallels here. Well, I found on Thingiverse, which is a beautiful place to find things, a Vortex Generator. I found quite a few of them. All you got to type in is Vortex Generator or possibly Airfoil, and you will see a lot of different 3D designs. Must be a lot of thousands of pounds of Diet Coke when I travel. This is true. Okay, let's see here. Bear with me. I'm going to create a new file here and start sharing. Get rid of this old thing. Catch up on the chat. What is red coconut? Yeah, it's unfortunate. My undercarriage is a good 28 inches on the RV, so it's got quite a bit of drag. I'm considering putting some type of skirt all around. I don't know if that would help more than harm. But hey, Dave, how's it going? But anyway, let's see here. So, updates are pending. Well, I'll learn from Dave, so remind me later. I'll share in a second as soon as I get all these. That's the advantage of having a Mac running a PC emulator. When the PC pulls something like that, it doesn't. I don't drop out. I just drop out at random when it crashes. Come on. Great. Windows is not only acting up for Dave today, it's acting up for me. While I'm waiting for the system to, here we go, to be unglitchy. See, this is why I need company, so there's not a bunch of dead air time while I'm trying to fight with Windows here. New, come on. There you go. We'll call it Vortex, and let's see if we can actually find a file to download or to whatever, to import. Let's see here. Alisa in the basement, man. That is, you better let her out, Neil. Boom, boom. No, that's great. My first Mac was a Mac Plus, and I wish I would have kept it. I had 4 of those babies, and they're going for $400 now. Okay, so let me look at the files. Okay, so let me see if this works. Bear with me, folks. I'm about to I'm going to try to import this thing. And I am going to share in a second. I'm just, again, going through the updates. Yeah, send me the info on red coconut. Meanwhile, if any of you have any CNC questions, I know, who was it on Dave's show was asking about how to properly align a 3D image, a double-sided image. I'll share some info on that. Again, I've had it on a past show, and we'll see if we can do that again. For those of you that okay, for some reason or another, this is not importing, and I'm trying it before I show you guys, and it doesn't want to import it. Well, folks, it'll probably be an extremely short show today. Here we go. Let me see if I can. Again, what's the chat talking about? Ah, Linux. That's always a beautiful topic of discussion. I love Linux. Okay. Now, let's here we go, folks. Let me start sharing and show you, well, I'll show you the simple way to the simple route. Hey, Dylan, how's it going? Okay, so here we go. We're going to import a Vortex generator. So if you'll go to your, for those of you that that have Aspire, or also it would work with VCarve Pro, we're going to go to import right over here to great, I lost it. There we go. Import a component or 3D model. You know, my brain's not working on all thrusters today. So let me import this one right here that someone created on Thingiverse, which is very similar to a brand name. Not exact, but you know, this is what I intend to print. Now, the one thing you got to be careful with whenever you import any 3D file, whatever it might be, is you have to, because a lot of these files are meant to be printed and not so much. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining. A lot of these files are meant to be printed and not so much carved. So the things you have to take a look at is look at it from the top view and make sure all sides are accessible and you don't have any holes underneath. Because if you do, either you have to get some sort of a bit that can reach those areas, like a keyhole bit or something, or you just, you know, ditch it altogether. But as you can see from the top of this, we'll call it an airfoil, a Vortex generator, if you will. It's accessible completely. You could do it with a small roundover bit. And it's as simple as going over here, creating a model with a, let's select a very thin roundover bit, a ball nose, say an 1/8 inch ball nose. Apply, and we'll make it a 5% overlap, step over. So that's like really, it'll take a while. And we calculate, great. Let's actually choose the shape. Goodness gracious. Yeah, it would actually help if we render the shape. Click OK. Because we imported the shape. What the heck did we do here? Oh, this is fun. That's more like it. Now calculate and close, and let's see if we oh, it's still calculating. This is going to take a while. Yes, it looks well in the 3D view. Well, it looks like a really fancy chair. I don't know where the heck the that model came from, but I'm rendering now. As you guys saw, I clicked calculate on the. I chose the 3D model. I clicked calculate with the ball nose. It is taking a considerable length of time because, well, it's my fault. I've made a 12 by 12 image, I think. But yeah, you're not the only one, Sean. It does look like a butt. Let's see. Yeah, Linux is a fantastic operating system for me. I use it for media, for a media center. My PCs, I have numerous PCs. Let me stop the screen sharing here while while I'm waiting for this thing to render. There's no sense in looking at a line. So, in short, I have like a dozen PCs, but every single one of them, they operate a here, I'll share with you part of my room here. At the end of the room there, you'll see a couple PCs, one of which is connected to a specific printer over here, to do with special ink in it to do trophies, to do sublimation on trophies. The other one, there are two printers here. The white one is connected to this rotary engraver, and so I got a rotary engraver there. I've got another one there that's connected to an inkjet that for a different type of sublimation. Boys with their toys, as they say. So here we go. Let's see if this thing okay, so this, and I'll share again here, is the toolpath, apparently. Let's see if it didn't mess up, because I have a feeling okay, so if I preview all toolpaths, it's not doing a thing. Hang on a second. Let's change the model up a bit, first of all. Why is this tab so huge? For those of you, oh, no wonder. That would be a big issue. Okay, for those of you who didn't, who are following along with my mistake, make sure when you import something, it is the right height, because apparently this particular person created a tab that was 4 feet high, 4 feet in height or in length. So let's go to a normal size tab, what we in the engineering world call the right way, and let's try this again, shall we? All right, so now it should calculate a little bit faster. There we go. And now it's not a piece of the foil. It's actually the foil. Now, one thing I wanted to check is, since it is a 3D image, it does have a specific height. And let me go on the model here. It says it's 0.6. Well, let's just make it the full 0.75 height. That's something you'll have to work with, by the way, if you're working with a 3D model. If you want to make it, if you want to change the height, reset preview, preview all toolpaths. Yeah, it would help if I actually have the height starting at 0 inches, base height. Oh, of course. The last model I had. This is the importance of working with the 0 at the right length, at the right height. Material 0 should be down here, or if not, I'm just cutting in the air. So now we should get the image, which we did. Now what we want to do is eventually cut one out, but well, there is your image. And hopefully through the mistakes that I have made, you guys will get a better appreciation of working with Aspire. One of the things I did was, and it was all simple errors that you make because if you don't work on something on a regular basis, you seem to forget these things. Or maybe if you drink too much Diet Coke and the aspartame is just affecting your brain. Whatever the case may be, make sure when you're modeling, your piece fits within the, you would think that's basic, fits within the parameters in the workspace. And secondly, when you set your Z, as you saw here originally, when I put the model, let's go to the modeling tab. When we saw the model here of the air tab, the original, when I first started, Z0 was on the top. So all it was cutting was the air above it. Unless you actually wanted to cut this shape into the board, and then you would set this button here rather than the other one, and you could see it's cutting into the board. But let's just stick with this model. So now that we have our basic shape, we can cut out a whole bunch of these things, which I'm going to save this because I'm going to do that this week. But wait, there's more. What I plan on doing, and in fact, I will... okay, what size will the airfoil be? The airfoil will be approximately 4 inches in height. Again, this is... I don't know what the original is. I'm going to take a look. The original Thingiverse file was 4 feet, and obviously I'm not putting a 4-foot airfoil on the side of my... a 4-foot by 5-foot airfoil on the side of my RV or travel trailer. The 21 gigawatt, 1.21 gigawatts of power. The there's a couple other things I'd like to do to the airfoil, but one thing I'd like to do is, now if you noticed from the picture of my RV, I don't know if you remember or not, but it has that corrugated, it has the corrugated sides. So if I put this airfoil flat, there will be little corrugated sides here and there, and I kind of don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an image just like the airfoil. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this. Let's make it 4 inches in the center here. Let's create a, close this. Let's create, I'll just do it here. 4 inches, and we shall move this piece to the, well, we'll just move it manually to the, there we are, to the 4 foot in the center. I mean, sorry, 4 inches in the center, apply, and we're going to put it, say, an inch from the bottom. Now, let's put it, I'll just, a nice even 4 inches, center. Okay, so we have a piece, and if I can get this mouse to cooperate, we have it at the 4 mark. So if I put a little thing here at 4, the center of the piece is right here. And this mouse, really annoying. Let's see, let's go this way, and then let's go this way. Okay, now we'll take another piece here, and we'll go to the 10-inch mark. Whoop. Come on. Come with. Go away. There you are. And we'll take another one at the 10-inch mark. The reason why we're doing the 10-inch mark is now we're going to duplicate this, copy, paste, and then move to where the center is 10 inch. Okay, let's not do that. Let's try the move command instead of the resize command, which, you know, would be nice. Right. We have our original piece here. We have our, what I'm going to call the backside piece here. Now, for those of you that want to learn how to align stuff and flip it over, here's how you do it. Let's say you're using a, we'll go with a 1/2 inch dowel. So we're going to create a 1/2 inch dowel mark at 4.1. So radius 1/4 inch or diameter 1/2 inch, whatever you want, at x equals 4, y equals 1. And the reason I'm being so precise is, well, will soon be evident. Now here we're going to create another dowel just above this piece. Let's say at 6.5. Let's see if that works or not. You know what? Let's move this line to 12. Let's move this piece to 12. So we have a little more room to play. So this piece, assuming it's 4 inches high, which it is, I'm not assuming because that's how I made it, we're going to go to 7 inches. So it's 1 inch below the bottom and 1 inch above. And then we're going to take these same two pieces. Now, the ideal situation is just to copy the whole thing and just do it there. But you know what? I'm just going to do it manual way here. We're going to put another one here at, remember, if this is 12 plus minus 2 is 10, so we're going to put it at 9. And then we're going to put another one, let's see, 12 plus 2 is 14. We're going to put it at 15. For those of you following along, all I'm doing is creating on a center line because I'm going to flip this way, if you will. This right to, I'm going to flip it horizontally. So this is the top. It's going to carve this piece out. this is the bottom. And now what I'm going to do on the bottom is something very simple, which is first of all, I'm going to take and just make some rectangle. We'll make a rectangle like so. Let's say that rectangle is, the width is 0.5. Let's make it 1 inch. 3/4. Now I would have to go out and measure my actual foils, see how far away they are. But anyway, this is what I'm doing here. All right, I'm creating 4.5 is better. Okay, so I'm creating something, a pattern, if you will. I'm going to create an array with a gap of 0 on the Y, 0.5. Sorry, what did I say this was? 3/4. 3/4. And I'm just making, I don't know, 4 columns. I probably only need 3. Or I don't even need 3. Anyway, I've got my 3 columns here. And what I'm going to do with these 3 columns, if you guys may or may not guess what I'm doing with them, but I'm taking a tool. I would say the gap is 1/4 inch. So assuming you have corrugated metal and it is 1/4 inch deep and 3/4 inches wide going up and down, this will work for you. The cut depth will be 1/4 inch. I'm going to be using whatever, 1/4 inch end mill. Calculate it, and I've got that piece. So the other thing I wanted to do is take the just the circles and do another pocket here all the way through. Same thing, calculate, and let's make this 1 inch. I know it's going through the material. Be quiet. I'm going to make the material bigger. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I hear you. Z height. Always complaining with the Z height. I just set it to 0 and it'll automatically fix it for me. Okay. Now here's what we're doing. Make sure the okay, the pockets are fine there. This one here, I'm actually going to take this piece and get rid of it because I don't need a double piece. What I do need is a way to cut it. So we'll take this piece and create a profile toolpath, and it'll go all the way down to 1 inch. And with a end mill. Yeah. No suitable vectors. Well, let's. I got to do it the hard way. There we go. Oh, man, will you be quiet and cooperate for once? All right. Here's our piece that we want. Okay, now let us just do one last thing, which is remove the other piece. Why is that one still there? Oh, because I didn't recalculate. Now, that's more like it. This is the finished project, or rather will be the finished project. Now I'll explain all the complicated parts, if there are any for some people. All right, here's what I did. We're going to create a bunch of these first. Again, I'm putting them all on, for clarity's sake, I'm putting them all on one board, but we're going to create a bunch of these. You're going to create dowel holes in your spoil board or above your spoil board, but you'll need a sacrificial board of some type, and you'll create dowel holes. You see there's one here at 1 inch and one here at, let's see, this is 1, 2, plus 4, 6, 7, one at 1 and one at 7 inches. So they're 6 inches apart. So the key is these are 6 inches apart. These are 6 inches apart. They are the center of the object. They are in a center line with the object, and so are these. So when you flip this piece over, which should have a hole all the way through, you first create your dowel holes in your spoil board, 6 inches apart, 6 inches apart, 6 inches apart, whatever the case may be. Then you create this piece, and again, you may want to create a square around it to have them separate, whatever the case may be. You create this piece here, and let me go back to the 3D view. So you create this piece first. You have the 2 holes, you have the piece. Now you take a dowel, stick them through the 2 holes, turn this piece upside down. Again, this piece will be, with the 2 holes, it'll be encased in a square. Let me go ahead and draw those squares for you to make it a little bit clearer. Because right now I'm assuming you're viewing these as 2 separate pieces. And let me not assume, because you know what happens when that happens. Let's just say I'll take a square here and I'll take a square here, and it really doesn't matter it doesn't matter the size of the square. I mean, it'd be nice if it was identical, but now okay, close. This one is the profile of that one. So let's go ahead and add these 2. Okay, so we'll go back to this again. Now we have our 2 pieces. Follow me if you will, if you can, which I'm not that hard to follow. So we're cutting this piece first. This piece will have 3 grooved points, and it will have 2 holes. Now, when we finish this piece, make your holes in the spoil board. I mean, actually, when you finish a bunch of these pieces, it depends. If you just want one, well, then just make 2 holes 6 inches apart in your spoil board. These dowels will obviously the dowel will go all the way through here and lock in to the other piece. The center line in between these dowels will match this piece with this piece. So if you actually had the same shape as I had up a little while ago in here, and you wanted, let's say for some reason you wanted this piece double-sided, Let's say it was 3/4 of an inch on one side and 3/4 of an inch on the other side. Well, you could easily do that by, well, in fact, you could cut this piece, you could cut this program out, and then flip the piece. So it won't cut all the way through, because if your piece is 1.5 inches, this is only cutting down 1 inch, the profile, as you saw earlier. You will need to adjust these holes to go all the way through to through the board. And you flip it over. Well, that's the trick. The trick is to have a piece to flip over that has got a center line. Now, this happens in the case of something being well, it happens, well, you could do it in any case. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. As you see, this piece is not symmetrical. It's offset. The center line here, it's off a little bit. So now imagine, if you will, this piece flipped upside down, where the back side of the piece is this. So we're cutting here 3/4 of an inch of airfoil. Well, first we're cutting 1/4 inch of this 1 inch thick wood. We're cutting 1/4 inch of the gaps, if you will. And then we're cutting the airfoil. And we're cutting 1 inch deep on the profile. So you put this piece in first to cut the bottom. You put this piece in to cut the top, and then cut the whole piece off. The bottom of this piece is this. So you will have a groove. And I don't know if anybody has any questions on that. But that's let me know if you do have any questions about working with a 3D pattern, or cutting out an airfoil, or I keep calling it an airfoil, a Vortex Generator. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, I plan on cutting a few of these out this week, so I'll definitely try to get a video in on the process. And I'm going to do some measurements. Some the Vortex, the airfoil is perfectly fine as it is. I have to adjust the in and out things. But anyway, that, as they say, is that. And does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any topics? Is there anybody even left? So please let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. Yay, Dave's here. So I am going to be working on these. Hey, Frankie. Hey, Keith. If let's see, on the Dollhouse Workshop. Yes, I have a bit of an update on it, Keith. After working on it a bit, and most of this week has been well, as it is with many of us, quite hectic, and I never have enough time for anything. I started cutting the pieces and putting them together, and the more I thought about it, and then having a couple sessions with Dave, a couple hangouts with Dave where we're just chatting about it, I think I got the bug. I've got that monoprice 3D printer in one of my trailers. It's intact. It's in a box. I know where it is, and I have a very strong feeling that over the next week or two, I'm going to be pulling it out of mothballs, as they say, finding a place for it here. And because I kept thinking about it, man, this is an awful lot of trouble just to build a little model. It's great when you got all the time in the world, you're retired, like the guy whittling in his front porch, and you've got a beautiful shop, and you can work on all the detail and have that joy. But when you're slapping together a bunch of pieces and you really want to get the model done real quickly, it's just sticking in my craw. So I'm going to after so many people told me, why don't you just 3D them? All the models for all the different tools are available, and you can resize it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to yank that thing out, and the first project I have is I'm gonna model. I'll go as far as buying a bunch of little model paints and maybe painting them silver, or to have the thing. But after last week, as I was designing the thing, because I'll come up with an idea and somebody will ask me, hey, why don't you do this, and I'll just do it without even thinking about it, and that's how the show works. But while I was doing the show, I'm thinking, this is an awful lot of trouble just to cut really small pieces. I could probably take a block on a bandsaw and make it look like a table saw faster than I can cutting little pieces and gluing them together and some of those complex pieces, it's just not worth it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to start 3Ding all those little pieces. So that's the update on the model. I haven't given up on that, because over the next 4 years is my goal date to have the new workshop in the new location where I'm moving up and running. So that's that as far as that's concerned. And and if I can share with you guys, that's one of the reasons I'm taking a trip. It's partially vacation, partially scouting around for some property. So I'm going to have a fun time up there. And hey, Drew, how's it going? Good to see you. Just finished making an airfoil. Hey, Drew, you might be interested in this. Let me pop this back up real quick. I don't know if you were here earlier for the show, but I'm going to be making a whole bunch of these. And on your trailer, it's actually, it'll be quite beneficial. You see these, okay, hang on. Let me move this here. It's called a Vortex generator. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it goes on the side of your trailer. A bunch of them go about 4 inches apart. These are about 3 inches wide, and they go about 4 inches apart. They break up all the wind resistance and drag on the trailer. And the best part, from what I've seen from people using these things, is they actually, for those of you who don't care about pasting these things on the back tail end of the trailer, and really don't care too much about gas mileage, which it does improve. Another big advantage of this is if you're tired of cleaning the back of your trailer because of all the grime, all the road grime, just these things keep it clean. Basically all that wind is no longer slapping rain or whatever on the back of your trailer. Now it's going onto the car behind you, so where it should go. So, well, like I said, workshop in progress. I'll let you know how these air tabs turn out, guys. I'm going to be... the hard part is, unless they're exactly like 1 inch apart, the corrugated... See, Ox has got an advantage that his trailer is flat. It's aluminum, and it's the flat part. If you have a flat trailer, these things are ideal. You don't need to cut two sides. If you have now I've seen some people that take these tabs and stick in little shims of wood just to avoid catching air inside the deep part of the corrugated part, and then siliconing it. That works too. But I'm gonna see what I do. If I'll probably go that easy route too. And there's also another thing that people that have done is they take one big flat piece of aluminum and bolt it and silicone it to the last trailing 3 or 4 inches of the trailer, and then that way they could just stick those airfoils on there. But regardless of which way I do it, I plan on getting this done. I've got the RV out front, and I'm planning on getting it done within the next couple weeks or so. So, and yeah, there are videos. One brand name, which I'll mention, is called AirTabs. They sell, I think they're in the range of $200 for 80 tabs. There's a kit, 200 something for 80 tabs, which is what you would need for an average RV or so. I think they sell them for $4 a piece, something like that, $4 or $5 a piece. But they do have videos on it. Just Google AirTabs, and it's pretty interesting. And there are numerous people on Thingiverse that if you do have a 3D printer, and I might actually pull it out and just print all of these, there are people that have created numerous different types of AirTabs. Here, I'll show you see if I can find a different one here. It's opening Mesh Lab. Well, I guess that'll work. Here's another one. Let's see here. Here's another one that someone created on Thingiverse, and I'm sorry I don't have their names, but if you search for Vortex Generator, you can see them. And again, it's now you'd think it looks like a little spearhead, but in actuality, it is the way most of these are designed, the good ones anyway. They are designed in a way that they are actually angle. You'll see you'll see the part straight, so you can align it sideways on your vehicle, but the part that sticks up is slightly askew, and sometimes it'll actually have a curl on it to actually create a vortex. And there are a lot of different brands out there. I'm not partial to one or another, but let's see. References in the space below the screen. A reference document? No, I'm sorry, Thomas. You'll have to look it up on Thingiverse. But if you type in if you type in Vortex Generator, you will get you will get that one and quite a number of different models. And I'll let you know how it works. There are three big advantages. One is the back of your trailer is clean, because there's no wind slapping it back and dragging it. The second advantage is gas mileage. Most of these have had a 1 to 2% increase in gas mileage. 1% doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're like me and you're getting 10 miles to the gallon, 1% it's the difference between spending 300 in gas and 270. And that's 1%. Imagine if it's 2%. I'm saving $60 on a nice trip. I went to Atlanta, and going to Atlanta, I had the van at the time. And the van and the tires being low and everything, I wanted to go a little faster because it's a 700-mile drive for me. When I went to Atlanta and hung out with Dave, brought my RV, it was 8.9 miles to the gallon. If I go from 8.9 to say 14, that is a big savings in gas, especially at the prices that they're at now, which is ridiculous. And thirdly, the other advantage is if you've ever driven a trailer, particularly a large trailer, and a semi passes you, the wind from that semi you're holding on for dear life in some cases, because it's really pulling you. Now, I'm used to driving it, so I'm one-handed, not a problem. But there are some trailers that cause quite a lot of drag that way and pull. I mean, when they're pulling the back of your trailer or pushing the back of your trailer, then they're moving the back of your car in the opposite direction. So you have to compensate with the wheels, and then, well, that doesn't happen with the air tabs. There's no it keeps it nice and steady. So that's a big advantage. And that's about it. Yeah, 1%. I'm sorry, 1%. Okay. 1% of 300 is not 3, but 1% of 10 miles to the gallon is 1 mile to the gallon. So a 300, I'm saying $300 in gas is what I would spend. It translates to, okay, 1% savings in sorry, you're absolutely right. I said percent and I meant 1 mile per gallon. Yeah, I'm really having a hell of a night, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's just not enough Diet Coke. Maybe I'm still the blood is still processing that wonderful meatball sub I had for dinner. So it's just not going to my brain. Forgive me, but I meant 1 mile to the gallon, 10% in fuel economy. I don't know why I keep saying 1%. That's nothing. So anyway, 10% in fuel economy, and some people actually get considerably more. But what they are normally saying is they get 1 to 2 miles per gallon. A lot of these people are driving huge motorhomes. You might try asking some truck drivers that own their own rig if they've ever tried it. But I'll share with you, I've been on a lot of RV forums, and across the board, everybody says the same thing. They're all agreeing that the nose cone is not that big of a difference, and it's definitely not worth it. When you think about it, $800 for a nose cone, I can buy an awful lot of gas with that. Probably more, I mean, gas savings. Let's say the nose cone saves you, which I doubt it even will, half a gallon. What am I? I'm not a long term. I mean, I do drive Florida, so that's a long stretch, but maybe put 4,000 miles. So 4,000 miles, you're looking at probably a savings of 200 miles. 10 miles to the gallon. Total in about a year, I will probably save 20 times 3, $60 at $3 a gallon. So off the top of my head. So $60 savings, spending $800, and I'm saving $60 a year, not a big deal. However, when you're looking at saving somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 or $400, and all you're doing is, well, you're making the tabs. Or even if you spend $200 or $300 for the tabs, in 1 year you'll make it up. So those are very well worth it. If, like me, you're driving flat, long roads. If you're driving up and down mountains or driving under 40, 50 miles an hour, under 45 miles an hour all the time, don't bother. Exactly right, Thomas. The return on investment of $800 will never pay back. Well, anyways, so we've chatted about, let's see, gas mileage, or so it's saying, will be less when you get up here. Yes. Gas mileage will be less when I get up there to paint your house, Ox. I promised Drew, assuming my life doesn't get more complicated than it is now, I promised him that I'd stop by his place for a week and, for a minimal amount of money, paint his house as a friend. So save him a few bucks on painting contractors, since I am one and I like driving. So anyway, let's see if I see any more here. 5 slide outs and a fireplace. Well, yeah, nothing wrong with that. 39-foot fifth wheel. That's the way to go. Is he driving the fifth wheel a lot, Drew? Is he driving all over the place and staying at parks? Is he driving the country? What's he doing with it? Or he just started? And I'm caught up on all the messages. So with that, folks, coming up on the 1 hour mark for me. So I'm going to be retiring here. And thank you all for coming in and spending some time here with Learn CNC with or CNC Chat with Javi, whatever you want to call it. Now, I will be very soon putting out the video. I'm late. Yes, I know. Big deal. On the Renaissance Challenge, the Almost a Renaissance Challenge. And also, I will, over the course of the summer, I'm going to try to take all my CNC with Javi shows and whittle them down to like 3 or 4 minutes of just concentrated information and leave out all the long stuff. So for those of you who've missed any shows or don't have to listen to an hour of me going, made that mistake, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, Javi's jibber jabber. So you guys all have a wonderful evening. Thanks again for coming and have a great week. Next week, well, people, send me messages. Whatever you want to discuss, I'll bring out some of the old stuff if you want, and we'll go through a library of whatever you want to make, whether it's beginner stuff or the more advanced stuff. I'm not going to get into 3D design or anything like that. That's something I'll leave for Dave when he gets really heavy duty into the 3D. Then he can start teaching you guys SolidWorks. That'd be cool. But I'll limit my experience. And for those of you who are watching Dave's show and can possibly come up with some project that will involve 3D and CNC routing, let me know. I'd be interested in. It's a tough one. It's a tough call because anything you can do with you could probably do it with one or the other. Anything you can do with both. There are limitations. So let me know if you come up with anything practical, useful, creative, funny, whatever the case may be. You guys all have a nice evening, and I'm off till next week. Good night.